For the last few weeks, I have been reading The Lord of the Rings. We now come to the second book of The Lord of the Rings, The Two Towers, where we ask the important question: you deny an old man his walking stick? It can be easy to forget, or if you've never actually read the books and you've only seen the movies, you might not realize that The Lord of the Rings is, in fact, one book that was published in 3 parts. This is nowhere more apparent than in The Two Towers, which is your sort of classic in-between book, connective tissue. And it's always a mark to me of a good writer who can make those middle passages really sing, because you neither have the fun of just starting out and learning about your world, nor do you have the satisfaction of knowing how the story actually ends. So all you can really hope for are some great characters and some interesting events along the way, which The Two Towers has to spare. The Two Towers really puts a spotlight on some of my favorite characters in The Lord of the Rings. That includes Treebeard and the Ents, and of course, Gollum. Interestingly enough, I would say, having read a good deal of The Return of the King as well as I record this video because I'm a few days behind, that I think The Two Towers has the most faithful adaptation in the film. And by that I mean to say that there's really not a lot of major parts or circumstances left out of that movie. It's pretty much all there. There is some streamlining of Merry and Pippin's adventures with the Ents. In particular, they stay with Treebeard the entire time in the film, whereas in the book, there's another Ent introduced. And in general, it's basically sort of small toing and froing from place to place that has been cut for the movies. It was really fun to read Gollum on the page again, because really his sort of internal conflict between Smeagol and Gollum is just so fascinating and well done, and the way that it really acts as a foil for Frodo and Sam, who are probably the relationship that I care about the most in The Lord of the Rings, because I do just love the way that they treat each other as friends and have this bond that is perhaps beyond even a brother. It's just a very fascinating sort of setup. And to then have Gollum, who is himself conflicted, come in between them in some ways, because Gollum understands Frodo in a way that Sam can't. But Sam knows Frodo best, of course, and it's through Sam's will and through Sam's belief in Frodo that really he makes the journey he makes here, as much as Gollum is a handy guide. Of course, there are other great pairs, including Legolas and Gimli, whose friendship I just adore in the movies, and that is all there in the book, of course, as well. One of the things I forgot that was actually in the book is the scorekeeping. In my brain, I think I just thought that was a sort of modern sort of thing that Peter Jackson had thrown into the movie, but actually it's right there in the book, as so much is. And that's been one of the pleasures of rereading this, because I love these books when I was a teenager, but I didn't necessarily fully take them on board, nor did I necessarily have the reading skill that I do now to sort of look at what's being done from a writer's perspective, I suppose. And my admiration really has only gone up for the book and Tolkien in particular. Now, on the less pleasant side of things, I do think it's really important to at least acknowledge and discuss in brief one of the topics that's really just an interesting, fascinating topic that requires way more nuance than I can ever go into in this video. But that is the concept of race in The Lord of the Rings, and what Tolkien does with it, and maybe what he means by it, and some of the things that might be concerning to modern readers. There are whole books on this subject. I imagine there are all kinds of videos on this subject. And certainly with the Rings of Power and its more diverse cast has kind of kick that hornet's nest open a little wider. But I did want to at least acknowledge it, because I think in The Two Towers especially is where that really kind of comes out the most, both within the book and in the movies. To no one's surprise, least of all my own, I have really been enjoying this adventure so thoroughly. It's exactly what I needed this month, honestly, to just sort of disconnect from the real world as much as I can, and to immerse myself in this world that I have loved for a very long time.